There is a popular saying in leadership that if you think you're leading and there's nobody following you, you are only going on a walk. On this platform, you are going to learn principles of leadership. You are going to encounter different leaders. You are going to learn about how you can grow as a leader, how you can make an impact. My name is Samuel Eyim, and I'm the host for the leadership platform. I am a leadership coach, a lawyer by profession, a John C. Maxwell certified coach. I have been in corporate life in senior positions for several years, and now I run the Center for Transformational Leadership, where we train and coach leaders to become better leaders. And I invite you to go on a journey with us as we discuss the subject of leadership in the coming weeks.
This and every Saturday, you have opportunity to ask questions, share your views on important leadership matters.
Hi dear friend, my name is Samuel Eyim, and I'm the CEO for the Center for Transformational Leadership. And I'm bringing to you the growth journey. We've set aside 15 weeks of growth to help you to be intentional about your growth. Where do you want to reach in your leadership? Which area of your life do you want to grow in? Growth doesn't just happen. It has to be intentional. So in these 15 weeks, we're going to have a special coaching sessions with you to be able to grow to where you want to grow. And to be able to grow yourself, you need to know yourself. A lot of us are not achieving the maximum we can achieve because we have not invested in our personal growth. We're going to help you in all and more within these 15 weeks. Every week we'll have a session with you. This program is limited to only 15 people. We're going to have 15 people for 15 weeks, and we're going to learn 15 great growth lessons on this journey. So make a date with us and see you on the growth journey. Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Platform powered by the Center for Transformational Leadership Africa. And we thank you for spending part of your Saturday evening with us. We know how important your Saturdays are for you. Time to rest for most of you, funerals, weddings, parties, but most of you make time every evening to join us, and we appreciate. We encourage you to share, to announce yourself, write your name and where you are joining from. We know that many of you sometimes prefer to remain at the background and you don't announce yourself, but it is always a pleasure to know who is connecting, and we are happy to welcome you. So please feel free, introduce yourself, and then let us announce you to the world. All right. So far, I'm not seeing anybody introducing themselves yet, but I know there are some people already connected. So if you're connecting from Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, whichever source you're connecting from, please introduce yourself. We also encourage you to share the links with everybody, with your friends, with your families, and let them know what is going on, because we are going to discuss a very, very important subject today. And we have a great leader of experience to share ideas. All right. So I see Stephen Amuakon is happy to be here. So Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. All of you who are connected, please feel free to introduce yourself. Right. This evening, we're going to discuss a very important subject, and it is sustainability thinking for effective leadership. And we we shared with you in our publicity of a quote from Deb Haaland, who says we must shift our thinking away from short-term gain towards long-term investment and sustainability, and always have the next generation in mind with every decision we make. Crucial, important statement. As leaders, we need to be conscious of every decision we make. It's not affecting us only, it's not affecting the immediate team members, but it has impact for generations. And that is what leaders should be thinking. And Gaylord Nelson said, reaching a general understanding that sustainability is the ultimate issue will finally bring us face to face with the political challenge of forging a sustainable society during the next few decades. It is a challenge we can meet if we have the leadership and the political will. So to think about our next generation requires political will, it requires leadership, and that is why we want to encourage you. And Cameron Sinclair says, when sustainability is viewed as being a matter of survival for your business, I believe you can create massive change. Now, this is so important, because sustainability thinking is not only good for you, it's not only good for the people around you, but it is also a business strategy. Businesses that have survived generations upon generation have leaders who are thinking sustainably, thinking into the future, and they're not limiting themselves to short-term gains. One of the challenges we have in our part of the world is because most of us are thinking very short term. So we encourage you to join us. All right. So I see Jemima Kumi joining us from the United States. I see Nana Ankuma II listening from Akosomo. And I see George Nicholas SL says, good evening, Sam. I'm excited to learn from the task once again. All right. Now, this evening, we have a very important and accomplished leader to speak to us. I call her my leader because she introduced me to the John Maxwell team, and I had my first, if you like, training into John Maxwell learning from her mastermind group. My first mastermind group was with our speaker this evening. Our speaker this evening is an international human rights lawyer who's worked in several countries with the United Nations in the human rights areas, helping countries to improve their human rights, which is also a question of sustainability because rights are important. She's therefore a peace and development expert, and these days she is turned into a social entrepreneur. She's launched two businesses, the Livingstone Resources Center in Togo, which has and direct Eco Village, very nice place. I hope she will share a few thoughts, things with us during the presentation. That would be great. So if you want to go to Togo one of these days, you want to look for Eco Village in Devier, and the Youth Trader, which is a waste wealth management outfit. She has 4 decades of experience in both private and public sector, working with NGOs, government, international governmental organizations, as well as big and small businesses. She's a founding member. And an executive director with the John Maxwell team, or John Maxwell
Maxwell Leadership these days, as we call it. She's a John Maxwell certified leadership coach, speaker, trainer, and she's coached and taught, encouraged so many people. I'm talking to you, ladies and gentlemen, about Mrs. Tokumbo Ige, and she's joining us all the way from Togo to speak to us. Tux, my leader, you are
Oh,
very welcome to the leadership platform. We're excited to listen and learn from you. Thank you
thank you
very
very
much.
much, Sam. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad that we managed to put this together. So, yeah.
Good.
Okay, so sustainability thinking. A good number of people, when they hear the word sustainability or sustainable development, their minds go to issues around the protection of the environment, durable development, and so on and so forth. And I think they're not mistaken. I think it is about that. It is, as you had said, Sam, earlier on, it's about long-term thinking. It's about not just looking at what's happening today, but looking into the future. And one of the things that we've been learning in the John Maxwell family is this whole notion of becoming the real person, becoming the real you. How do you become? For me, sustainability thinking is a process by which you can get to that level as well. So it's not just a business strategy, it's a political strategy, it's an economic strategy. Actually, it's a holistic strategy. And believe you me, in recent times, my reflections have been around how sustainability thinking is actually something that individuals must do. So it's not just about the collective, it's also about individual responsibilities. Albert Einstein said, the world we have created is a product of our thinking. If we want to change the world, we have to change our thinking. And that for me means that who we are is a product of our thinking. If we want to change who we are, we need to change our thinking. So it's all about the mindset. And change is something that, whether we like it or not, it's inevitable. And our world today is changing. It's not just about the climate. It's not just about the catastrophe or the crisis that we've had recently. It's about the mentality and the whole transition that the world seems to be going through at this particular time. So a good leader must always be prepared to embrace change. So when you think about sustainability thinking, what are you looking at? I say here that it's a thinking that acknowledges the inexhaustible nature of all that we need to live and thrive in this world. So there is nothing that we have. Our life is not exhaustive. At some point, it will be snuffed out. Our environment is not exhaustive. Now we see the crisis we're having. Even the political setups and strategies that we have are non-exhaustive. And of course, with what we had over the last 2 years with the COVID-19, we see now that really we're not in control of anything. So sustainability thinking has to help us to emphasize the need to keep a long-term perspective while we are doing short-term planning. And what does that mean for a leader today? It means that we need to have a process by which decisions are made, bearing in mind the impact over a longer period of time, but also bearing in mind that stakeholders must be very, very involved. What does that mean for me as a leader? It means that I have to take better control of my life. It means that I need to know exactly where I want to go and ensure that I'm well seated in the driver's seat. And that means when I do it for my life, I will be extending it also to the business that I've set up, or to the relationships that I have, whether it's corporate, whether it's social, whether it's in the community. I need to keep that in mind. So it also means that today, as a sustainability thinker, I need to keep in mind that I will be called, whether I like it or not, to consolidate a lot of gains that we made, for example, during the COVID times. Many of us had to change our lifestyles. Many of us did things that we didn't used to do before. Sustainability thinking is telling me that I can't go back to the before COVID times anymore. I can't say, oh, that's what I used to do 2 years ago. COVID is gone now. So, I mean, I was discussing with someone the other day, and I said, God has a sense of humor. We are coming out of COVID, we land in a war that we don't most of us are not directly connected with, but we're being told that we will all bear the impact of it. For example, if it's just to take the question of the fact that they say wheat is going to become very expensive, and so those of us who love eating bread made from wheat might be dying of starvation, I think sustainability thinking tells me, hell no. What do we have that is a substitute for that, which many of us discovered during the COVID times that we need now to develop? So it's about actually being able to make those analyses at the right time and in the right way. So what are the elements of sustainability thinking? I think it's about our values, the individual values, the corporate values, how we are able to interpret our values within the framework of the realities of today. Okay? There's so many, they're not our values, especially those related to our character and how we behave and how we relate, in many ways are values that must not be negotiable. And in the process of sustainability thinking, we need to keep ensuring that we're asking ourselves, are we shifting with the times, or are we staying true to those values? Culture. John Maxwell tells us that culture takes values for lunch. It's the key thing that a business must have, and therefore a leader in a business or an entrepreneur or a leader in any form must be able to describe the culture of the organization or the establishment that they put in place or that they're working on. So this has to be based on everyone's involvement and our concern. Our accountability has to be global. It has to start from me to we. We cannot drop the ball on any issues now and say, because the world is going that way, then I drop the ball. No. Where did you want to go? Where are you now? And what are you doing to ensure you're following that track? Being responsible for the use of every type of resource that we have. Human resources, material resources, financial resources. Accountability has to be a key issue for us. And our culture in our daily lives, in our social lives, in our business lives must be hinged on that. We can't afford to waste any more resources. We've lost so many lives. We've lost so much. The earth itself is beginning to revolt against us. So what are we going to do? We have to return to that culture that respects nature, that values other people, that is empathetic. We now have to bring into, IQ alone will not do it anymore. Emotional intelligence has to be part of it. People are talking about the importance also of artificial intelligence, but the relationship that we have with human beings, the relationship that we have between ourselves has to be much more human than it was before, in order for us to work together to ensure that we can really build a sustainable environment. So it's not just about a corporate life. I repeat, it's about families, it's about businesses, it's about communities, it's about churches, it's about religious groups. It's all about that. It's about changing our mindset. So this concept of sustainability thinking that seems to apply in every facet of life is something that as a continent we need. For us to have anything close to development, we will definitely need to work more on that. Those times are gone when we'll have like an outbreak like we did with the COVID-19, and there were no leaders, there were no followers, everybody was, no one knew what to do. And then, you know, in this part of the world, people will come up with, you know, ideas, or will come up with innovation, and other people will try to shut them down, saying, oh, no, you guys don't know what you're saying. We need to be able to stand our ground. But if we're to stand our ground, it means that the gains we have made from the COVID experiences, we turn them into research. I mean, I was reflecting on this the other day. I was saying to myself, a lot of things stopped with COVID. And I just want to give an example that struck me. A lot of meetings that we would fly all over the place to go to one meeting or the other. I mean, those big meetings, those world conferences, those UN General Assembly meetings, those ECOWAS meetings, those African, many of those things stopped. All our leaders, everybody learned to sit in front of a computer and talk to everybody. Okay, now COVID is leaving. What about all of the resources that we managed to save in those 2 years? What are we going to do with it? I think we should be putting it into research to prevent or to prepare just in case there's going to be another outbreak of something. I think we should be putting it into developing our technological capacities now on the continent, now that we know that it is possible for us to hold meetings with people from 50 countries without leaving your seat. I think that's what we should be doing with it. So that's why I said there's no going back. As far as I'm concerned, I think we all need to develop that mentality that there's no going back to the pre-COVID thinking and all those habits. It is time for us to move from where we are and move forward. And how do we do that? We have to continue to remind ourselves that this thing is not gone, and that where we are now today, we can't afford to go back. So we need to go forward. And that means our educational systems, what we are teaching, what we are imbibing in our staff, what we are teaching our children, what we are teaching in our schools, has to continue to remind us that it is possible to fall into a situation where you don't actually know what's going to happen next. But if you already planned ahead, if you already figured some of these things out, even if you didn't have all the details, it'll be easier for you to absorb the shock and be able to be flexible. You'll be able to be more adaptable. You'll be able to be able to pivot even at that particular time in the middle of the crisis. So I think that flexible working systems and all these new initiatives, you know, the tele working, the long distance, you know, the online trainings, and all these things that we have introduced, I think these are opportunities that we must not lose. I'm not suggesting that we should not hold any face-to-face meetings or do other things that continue to build our social framework or our social networking. But what I'm saying is, where we have been able to make tangible savings, sensible reduction of costs, where we have been able to know that it is now time for us to respect our environment more by flying less hours and every other thing that's linked to that, I think we need to harness that and really ensure that that helps us, because that will actually enhance the leadership that we have, our leadership as individuals, but also as groups or in our nations. So how do we develop sustainability thinking? We develop sustainability thinking by applying, and I just want to use this real, by developing our real self. And the word real, as John Maxwell taught us, is looking at relationships. Now, what are the kind of relationships that in the last 2.5 years you have found are inevitable for you to move forward. Maybe there were not relationships that you valued before COVID. Now, in these 2.5 years, wow, you have seen that these have just been wonderful. Yes, you had to drop some other types of relationships. I think it's important for us that we, as individuals, as leaders, as nations, even as communities, as families, that we evaluate the nature of our relationships, the way we managed and manage them, and ensure that we're following, what we're harnessing, or we're I'm trying to find the right word in English, where we're really cultivating those relationships that really worked and made us more efficient as leaders in the time in the past crisis. Now, the second thing is equipping. What do I need in order for me to grow from where I am now? Not from where I was, because from where I was to where I am now, circumstances have pushed me to grow. Now I need to take that further. I must not say, oh yeah, okay, now it's over. Ooh, let me go back, to what I used to do. What do I need to get better at using technology, to really become the technology guru? What do I need to equip my team so that our working or whatever it is that we need to do, that we do offline or online, and not in coming together physically? What do I need to do to take that further? What do I need to do in my planning process to equip my colleagues, equip myself, in order that our work is more efficient? These are the questions I should be asking myself. And then regarding the question of attitude, the attitude we have, I repeat, towards the resources that we have must change. Our resources are not inexhaustible. Our resources are exhaustible. We can see that, and we can feel it. We can hear it. We can hear it in all the crises that are still looming all over the world. We can hear it from the aftermath of a COVID crisis that is still not totally gone. And we can hear it from climatic change. So we can hear it in our bodies. We can hear it around us. We can hear it in our homes. We can hear it in our communities. We can hear it in our societies. So as an effective leader, what should be my attitude? My attitude should be, I must value everything that, even with my hands, even if I put all my hands to work, even if I can make it, I must still value it as it is right now. Talk less of those things that I cannot even handle, I cannot even create. That's why today, that's why I'm not surprised that when people would have heard that I was going to talk about sustainability, their minds would go to climatic change. But it's not just about that. It's also about political change. It's also about economic strategies and for change, because everything is linked. And the last thing is about leadership. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. If I want to develop sustainability thinking, I must put my mouth where my money is. And I must lead efficiently so that those who are seeing me, those who I influence, really are getting the good, not the bad. And you can see, just go to social media today. Who are the people leading? Who are the people with 10,000, 20,000 connections? The influencers. And they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Now, if we really want to ensure that our social cohesion is intact and that our societies are developing as they should, then we must ensure that we keep an eye on the environment, which is our commonwealth, our political and economic environments also, and also our social environment, and ensure that we continue to influence in the right directions. So, back to the future is my last thought that I would like to share. Why do I say back to the future? In times past, 30-40 years ago, some of the values that seem to be running away, leaving us, were the values on which, were the foundations on which many of us built our lives, built our understanding, businesses, communities were shaped. Now, there's nothing wrong with modernity or making things better, but everything that we do and or that we do or will do that will destroy the culture, the values of our societies, I think we need to avoid them. And so that's why I love this quote, because we need to develop our leadership and our business skills to ensure that we have the right mindset to tackle tomorrow's complex challenges. That's why I love this quote by the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a senior advocate, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, that says, the task of laying a foundation is hard and tedious work. It's neither glamorous nor exciting for the builder or the observer. Yet without it, the pleasure of a completed building remains a dream. So if Africa is actually going to develop, we need sustainability thinking in every area, every facet of our lives, beginning from me, and it's from me to we. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Talks, for those thought-provoking ideas. I'm going to ask a few questions and I'm going to provoke the discussion from there. So we look at our continent and we are told that 40% of the population of Africa is 15 years or below. And we're talking sustainability, looking at the direction of leadership in Africa, looking at our political environment, looking at the number of young people today who have left universities who don't have employment. What should we be doing so that our people, the young generation, and in the midst of that, we see a few of us, the elitist political class, just blowing things away, enjoying the resources like there's no tomorrow. What are your thoughts about that?
Thanks, Sam. You know, I think I want to start off by saying I think anyone who didn't learn lessons from the COVID era, I don't think they can learn anymore. I'm sorry. I think you cannot have it worse. Honestly, a situation in which even the elitist elite of the elite, who has 3,000 pairs of shoes or whatever it is they have at home, had nowhere to go to with them. Today, if you cannot reflect on the basis of that, then I think we have it's a lost cause. And so I'm trying to be optimistic here and I'm saying, I think a lot of us, a lot of people have learned from this. And that's one of the reasons why, even though we're not totally out of COVID, you can hear the sound of the drum. You can hear even our leaders, even those that you would have considered, oh, were careless. You can hear you can hear the silent cry. You can hear the movement. So I think it's not going to be long before we see certain types of changes in strategy, in thinking, in approach or approaches. And I think that would be for the better. But you see, where I want to put my plea is actually in our education. I think education now needs to return to the, back to base, back to the very beginning. We need to begin to build up, because it got to a point where we were no longer building upwards. We were building, it was like from the top down, and we forgot. And I think that's, honestly, I think that's what the creator decided, no, put a stop to this before I get rid of all these people. Let me send them this thing to remind them that I'm in control. Because really, some of the things we were seeing and we were hearing were just too much. But today, and you just need to go on social media, Sam. you can hear the drum, the way it's beating, and you know that there are warning signs. We will not have the luxury of being able to get away with things the way we did before. That's my feeling.
All right. I'll just pursue a bit on that because, yes, our political leaders have some responsibility and, maybe the drams, but from where you sit, you've worked with a lot of governments across the world and particularly in Africa. Do you see our leaders listening to the drums? Because I work with a lot of young people and I see a lot of desperation with our people. People have doctorate degrees and they are driving taxis and Okadas. And the last time people were talking about Ghana and what Ghanaian and whether people will be prepared to stay. A lot of people say, no matter what, they'll be prepared to go and leave this country and everybody is struggling to go out. COVID has not changed that thinking, has it?
Sam, everybody is trying to go out. To go where? To go to places where, even in the last 2.5 years, we find that I think it's our mentality that we just need to take a scrubbing brush and scrub our brains again. The other day, I think in the UK, they were talking about 6 million people still coming in and out of COVID. So are you anxious to take a plane and go to London right now? I think I'm not sure it's just a question of government. I think it's the whole thing of from the home we have abandoned our responsibilities. A lot of us, took kids to school, kept them there. They spend the rest of their days with nannies. Then it's social media, and then. Yet, we send them to universities where we give them hopes, but where we were not able to sit down with them and also talk. So it's not just at the level of government. Government has its own. But I also sit in a place where I discuss every day with young people. Every day with young people. And it's about them thinking that, it's somebody else's responsibility. And I keep reminding them, if you want to become the real you, it's going to be about you. So that's why I said the message has to come from the home to the church, to the mosque, to the religious, to the political, to the whatever. Because do not forget that our political leaders emanate from us. They come out of our societies. They're not extraterrestrial beings. We vote them in. So if we don't want them, what do? We should vote them out. But who's going to replace who? What's the thinking? The thinking and the shaping of who we are, Sam, you and I, didn't come from our universities. It didn't come when we went to school. It came from home. It came from remember the son of who you are. It came from, I'm trying to translate something from Yoruba, which says, work is the medicine for poverty. And it came from that thinking that said, yes, you can have a university degree, but you have talents, you have skills. What else can you do with it? It came from, and you could see it coming back during COVID. Suddenly, people remember that they had tailoring skills. They forgot about the fact that they were pharmacists. They ran and made masks and did good business. Some people still sat down saying, I'm waiting for COVID to go before I do anything. So the thinking is what I think we need to work on. And it's a thinking at all levels. Let's not make a mistake that it's just at the level of government has its responsibility. I repeat, they have a huge responsibility, but also does family and all the other components of society. We all need to come back. Leadership, the whole transformational leadership is what we need to interrogate. How will our leadership at all levels transform our societies into what we want them to be. How are we going to become? This is my own thinking. And I think we all have a role to play, even though government has a big
Good.
responsibility.
So what I'm hearing you, as I said, I wanted to provoke the discussion because, yes, we know government has responsibility, but sometimes we've just abdicated all the, and I like all the responsibility to somebody else. And I like the idea that, you have to be you, and you have to change your attitude. You have to take your life into your life into your own hands. And we also, I hear you about the role of the family, the role of the churches, and the whole society, because it's not one person. But somebody is asking a question. I have some questions, but I'm going to go to the. So drink some water, but I'm going to come to you. Just note some of the questions that are coming. I have quite a number of people online. So let me just announce those who have joined us since. I have Nana K. Ankuma, who is joining us from Akosomo. Nicholas Isel is here. Abedonko says awesome. Dorothea Thompson is joining us from Bojuase. Thank you so much, Dorothea. Ekada Balandia from Tanzania is here. Ebenezer Niama listening live. Rose Odai, glad to join. Frank Asian from Cape Coast. Na Adolfo is here. Miss Abby is here. And Nana Ankuma says, so awesome, kudos. Dorothea is watching from Central Region. Abeku John Hammond from Termine. Miss Abe is asking this question: what do we do? And I want please note that just in case there are more questions. Miss Abe says, what do we do about supporters who are adamant and unwilling in providing, or even superiors, excuse me, what do we do about superiors who are adamant and unwilling in providing or even allowing a conducive, progressive environment for growth? So what do we do about superiors who have just taken over? And I was going to ask this question again, because we're going to move from the government to the corporate setting, and we have so many leaders, we have so many corporate and public servants who are just taking over. They don't want the young people to come around. They have, in Ghana, they have what they call the PhDs, which is pull him down. And then they have the MBAs from local language. I have been here long enough, and they don't want anybody else to come. They don't want to give room for others to grow. Some are changing even their birth date so they can continue to stay. What do we do? How is this going to really help us? So that is from Miss Abby, and I'll come back to you to address that. But Natalia says, hi family, she's here. Natalia Kwejir is here. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Theophilos Apia Wilson is here. John Sindoyo is here, and he says, good evening. Wavo Vignon from Togo is here. It's great. All right. So I think we'll come back to, I'll come back to you. But if Kofi is ready, I want to share with you our ongoing leadership program, the Growth Journey. And I want to invite all of you to be able to join the Growth Journey, which is a 15-week of group coaching where we're going to help you develop your own growth plan systematically, to think about your growth intentionally. So Kofi, if you're ready, let's share the video for especially those who are new, and then we'll come to talks to answer that question and share some more thoughts. Yes, let's go.
We spend a lot of time developing our professions. but we don't spend time developing ourselves. Look, as a leader, as a professional, you have to grow. You have to grow yourself. And to be able to grow yourself, you need to know yourself. A lot of us are not achieving the maximum we can achieve because we have not invested in our personal growth. So we are bringing you this special studies based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And we're going to just spend time with you and help you go through the principles that you need to be able to grow your person to become a better person. Because if you become a better person, you become a better leader, you become a better father, you become a better professional. Do not miss this opportunity, as the masterclass is going to be very practical and discussional. It is going to be a limited number of people. So please register now to be part of the program.
All right. Thank you so much, Kofi, for that. And I can tell you guys, we are running our third cohort now, third group of 15 people on the journey. I think we are on level 10 now, week 10, and we are building up for the fourth cohort. And I can assure you, great professionals have come to this program and they are asking themselves, where was this all this while? We didn't know. People are now becoming a bit more intentional about their lives. They are becoming intentional about their growth. That is what we need so that we can have sustainable personal leadership. That is what we want to ensure here. So we want to encourage you. This program is so cheap. It's 15 weeks of learning for only 1,500 Ghana cedis. But some of my colleagues are saying, Sam, but this is too low. But we want this to come to everybody. I have lawyers, I have accountants, I have bankers, I have architects, I have doctors who are on this program. And every day people are discovering new things about how to grow themselves. So we want to encourage you, please, Kofi, share the link in the chat so that people can go to the link right away and sign up. And if you have any challenge, you can always contact me. My numbers are all over the place. All right, so let's go to talks to answer that question and a few more that I have. So talks, you heard Miss Abby's question, did you?
Yeah. Yes, I did. And thank you, Miss Abby, for your question. I think that's something that today a lot of people are faced with, and that's that's what is referred to as leading up. You know, a lot of us as leaders, we think that it's just about the people that are behind or coming after us. Leadership is influence, and the more we can influence not just those behind us, but also those who are ahead of us, the better we will be. So in that kind of a situation, what does one do? Practically, it will be to resort to this system of leading up. And that means you keep your action going, meaning the positive things you do, what you do at your level, okay? You make sure that you're doing it and you're building more. It's like you're developing your strength with those whom you're influencing. You will find out that at some point, the boss who doesn't want to leave the seat or the old person who doesn't want to leave the seat will start asking questions if you don't break. So you need resilience. This is the place where resilience is so much needed. You're that middle level person, or you're the one on the lower level, and you find that you have a mountain in front of you. In order to move it, you're going to have to chip on it from different sides, especially by your action. So your action, your positive action, you're doing things the way things need to be done. You're creating, as it were, a followership that is beginning to look in a different direction is one of the ways. Another way, I think, might sound a bit radical, is that a lot of, if you look at what's been happening in the last few years with all the startups and the new, all of this new thing about incubation and so on, is throwing a lot of the ecosystems into panic, because suddenly young people are coming up with some ideas that, oh my God, if you sit on your back and you refuse to move, they will move the space around you and you will find that you're sitting alone. And that needs to continue in order to encourage, push, urge those who feel that, it's deja vu. We've seen this before, we've done it this way, and we're never going to let it go. You have to create that panic around them. So press the panic button around them. Show them through your leadership skills, how it is things are supposed to be done. Be resilient, because they'll try to force you, they'll try to attack you. But tell yourself, I'm not moving, I'm doing the right thing, and I'll continue. Yeah, you might suffer some backlashes, but at the end of the day, it will pay off. It will pay off. It's when we see these kind of things as a mountain that cannot be moved, that, evil thrives when those who should do good refuse to act. So it's exactly the same principle. Lead up, continue, show those values of integrity, of innovation, of whatever it is that the challenge that you're trying to work against is. And you'll be surprised that they'll be peeping through the window to see, what is she doing? Why is everybody happy with her? And I'm not getting that response. They might not be able to come to you, but they will find a way. But you have to be resilient.
Thank you so much. So what I'm hearing is that if you have a boss who does not want to create an environment for growth, you have the potential, the capacity. As we've said on this platform all the time, every one of us is a leader. And your ability, even if you're the subordinate, to create the right environment can be powerful to influence your boss to change. So I think that's what I'm hearing. It's important that if you are the superior on this call, our call to you is that your leadership is not about you.
But
Your leadership is about the other, and your ability to create the environment to help others to grow is what is going to determine your leadership quality, your succession, who is going to come after you. Those of you who think that without you, the organization will die and collapse, please begin to think again, wake up, because when you die tomorrow, the organization will still be here. Somebody else will be there. So don't build that around you, but go ahead and help others to grow, because that is where you have your worth as a leader. All right. So thank you so much, Talks. Now, Dr. Junior Anthony has come back to the discussion we had earlier, and he says, thank you for the excellent presentation. Uncle Sam, I like your question of if our political leaders hear the drums. I appreciate her response, and it is worth it. But I suggest if she can take that again. Do our political leaders hear the drum at all? Yes or no? I appreciate our part to play in the whole process, but that of the political leaders pretending everything is okay while the foundations are shaky. What do we do? All right. The fish rots from the head. I was telling somebody, today. So they are the political leaders. That's the highest leadership. Are they hearing us? Somebody wants your yes or no?
Oh no, I think they do. I honestly think they do. It's one thing to hear. It's another thing to pretend you can't hear, but even you yourself, you know that the buba you are wearing, there's heat coming under. But they some of them might decide to kind of like as the young people say, to shake it off, to pretend like, because we think that leadership is about being macho. But when you know that leadership is not just about being macho, that it's about empathy, that it's about being vulnerable, in order for people to be able to understand that this is a collective, this is something that we can move together, where you actually desire to ensure that that change can happen, it can happen. And there's been instances I mean, there's some leaders that have adopted that stance. I believe that they do hear the drums. Whether they know what kind of dance steps to dance is another story. But that they don't hear, they're not deaf. They see, they hear. They might pretend that they have everything under control, but I believe that they hear the drums. And that's why you find that suddenly we are moving away from the classic way of doing things in many countries, in most countries. People are beginning to is it just now that we realize we have so many youth in Africa? No. But suddenly everybody now knows that we need to do something. What they need to do, they might not be doing it the right way or doing it at the pace that we want, but I don't think there's any leader here who doesn't know that their roof is on fire, especially with the pace at which all the other challenges, including, for example, in this part of in West Africa, for example, all of the challenges we have with the crisis, with terrorists, with all the social and the political, no, come on, they hear the drums. The dancing steps might not be the ones that we're waiting for. It might be slow. They might still just be learning how best to change the dance, but they do hear. And I think that's why we must keep the drums going, rolling.
Good. Right. Thank you so much. I have a couple of questions. There are a few coming, but let me ask this one. Still on our continent, with so much resources, and we are seeing, since generations, we keep still complaining about slavery. We could talk about colonialism, and we talk about neo-colonialism. Today, we are talking China. We are still seeing people coming into our continent and taking our resources, and we are helping them to take it away. We are still doing raw material export. I mean, where are we going? Are we sure we are being sustainable? Is this continent not going to be sold one day or the other? What are your thoughts? I'm asking you this because I know you work a lot with our governments and our political leaders, and you've been advising them. So I just want you to share a few of your thoughts with us on how can we organize ourselves better? Because people are coming to actually do large-scale farming, clearing off our peasant farmers off. Recently in Ghana, people have been cutting off cocoa and doing some cash crop farming quickly, and the cocoa is so we are losing grounds there again. So what do we do?
So my brother, we know about the cocoa farming, and these people are cutting off, and these people are doing this, and these people are. So what are we doing about it? Are we that helpless? Or is it that we just have decided to abandon our own responsibilities? There's a lot of apathy in the society that we need to work on. That's why I said it's not just about government. Government has a role to play, but we are the ones who put government there, supposedly. So if we put them there and we see they're not doing what they should do, should we sit down, fold our arms and say, people are cutting away all our things, oh. These people have come to carry our things, oh. And the days when God intervened on our behalf by sending mosquitoes to bite people so that they will have malaria and they will run away, those days seem to be gone past. So we need to wake up and do something. And I'm sorry to say, but I still return to the fact that I think that is why we've had to go through this crisis we are still going through, where there's a full stop. It's like, just stop and just think. When you get the opportunity, when the time is ripe for you to, for example, change government because it's time to do so, don't sit at home and say, I can't vote, I don't have time. Those people are like that. If I say those people are like that and the other person says those people are like that and we all sit at home, then the wrong people will get there. But if we all go and slug it out and then somebody's going to say, no, but that terrain is rough. Which terrain is not rough? The violent have to take it by force. If we want it to change, we have to be a part of the change. We can't sit here and say, oh, I wish things would change. You and I know that wishing is not a strategy. So what part of the action? Every one of us has a sphere of influence. Have you identified the areas of your possible influence? Once you've identified that, what are you doing about it? Oh, but there's lots of problems. Yes, lots of problems. They didn't come in one day. We watched them build up. Now the mountain is there, it's in front of us, and we are saying, so what next? We are going to have to chip at it. The same way we sat, watched, now we are now going to get into a pair of trousers, jeans, skirts, whatever it is, and begin to chip at it. But we all have to do something. Let me tell you, my understanding, even from talking at a certain level, is that some of our leaders, I think they're even crying for help, but we can't hear them. Because some of the things that they're dealing with, they might have created, maybe they didn't create. I mean, it can be nasty sometimes. So I really think that it's a common, it's something that we all have to be a part of at the different levels. If at my level, if at my individual level, I learn to respect my environment, my family learns to respect the environment, my community, my business, my home, my whatever, building up, at some point, we're going to get to a level where nobody can stop us. But now, because we see the enormity, the size of the challenge, we are cowed in by the size of the challenge. We want to drop the ball and just say, only government can do it. No, we all have to get involved in transformational leadership. The 7 spheres of influence, everybody, and we are all connected to those 7 spheres of influence in society. So we all have to be a part of it. Whether it's in the arts, in the education, it's in the economy, we all have to be a part of it. We all have to start saying no to what is not right and saying yes to what is right and saying this is the way we want to do it. And we must all be a part of whatever is the means by which we can make those changes. But we can't abdicate and then say, it's so big, you can't believe, it's so complex. Yes, it is, but we created the mess together. We did.
Good. I like that. I mean, and it's very important that we all understand that we are all responsible for this, and none of us can go and sleep. We have to fight it out. We have to push it. We have to all wake up. So thank you so much. Natalia say, yes, resilience is key. Johnson Dayo, Akimodiro, I hope I pronounce it right. Leaders without plan of succession is a calamity. Nobody is indispensable. Leaders today should learn to quit when ovation is loudest. Everyone has a lifespan. Are we sure? Is this for Africans? Talks. Will African leaders quit where we are clapping for them and creating songs for them? Would they quit? Should they?
Remember that leadership is influence. Remember that we are all leaders. So it's not just about them. It's about all of us.
Good.
We all have to, it's exactly the cry of our children. Mommy, get off that seat. You can no longer continue to run this business the way you and daddy were running it 40 years ago. And we tell them, go and sit down. This business, I did started it with your father. It's the same thing. So they are also saying, no, wait, I haven't finished what I promised you I was going to do, even though they've been there for the last 10 years and they haven't done anything. But then when it's time to vote them out, what do? We don't. So yeah, the problem, it's a vicious cycle.
But and we have to break it somewhere.
Keep our eyes on the ball. Yeah, and we should keep our eyes on the ball. Really.
Exactly.
It's a vicious cycle.
Now, Catherine Eggman says, very true. There is a lot of apathy in the system, but anti-talks. It gets really tiring when you are the only voice in the wilderness. All right. And Catherine, you should listen to Mr. Kakraben's presentation last week on the power of your voice. So we all have some power there. Those of you who missed it, you really missed last week, but I know you are always there. So what do you say to that? What Catherine says? So sometimes you are the only one. You are shouting to the top of your voice, and they are arresting you and imprisoning you because you're talking. And some of them, they are killing you. I mean, what do you do?
Catherine, we can't give up. Catherine knows that. We can't give up. We can't give up. You know, in every struggle, there will definitely be the martyrs, there'll be the victims. But I think the more that we arise, honestly, the more that the more we're able to join hands together and actually forge a common a common vision, a common goal, the more we're able to reach out. Because you know, sometimes some of us who think we are the lone voice, also we get caught in our own thing. We think, oh, we are the lone voice. So when they say, go and talk to Sam about it, you say, oh, Sam has no time, but you haven't even spoken to him. You haven't tried to. So we all need to start reaching out beyond our usual comfort zone, beyond. Let's not presume or assume that, oh, that person cannot be helpful. Go and provoke them. I think that's where we are at now. I mean, there's a process going on in my home country right now, which I'm just so fascinated by the fact that suddenly all of us who thought we were living in our little glass houses, and I'm talking about, I'm Nigerian, and I'm talking about Nigeria now. All of us suddenly realize that if we want change, we have to be a part of it. So that's where we are at. And when we get to that level, then it means you're also willing to soil your hands. So, Catherine, it's about not feeling that I am alone. You know, it's about knowing that there is somebody next door. And if they're sleeping, you go and knock on their door and say, please don't sleep. I just want to spend a few minutes with you to have this discussion. And maybe you'll be able to, at least if you talk to 10, you'll be able to probably win 5. The 5 will win another 5, and the multiplication starts. But we cannot afford to just sit and say, oh, it's so much, it's so whatever, and we're the few.
All right. Thank you so much. And Catherine says pure wisdom. So I think she agrees with you. All right. And Natalia say, honestly, persistence have worked in fixing some of these wrongs. So we cannot give up. As you say, we should continue. Johnson says, what are you doing? What am I doing? That's the question each one of us should be asking. And Natalia also say this is the real wake up call for all of us. So I believe, and Conrad says great topic with great insight. Let's all do what we can do to be part of the change, which is very, very important. And okay, so Martin Atiako Frando says powerful lessons watching from Asim Fosu. Okay, Johnson, our actions need to be intentional. Discovery of our self-value. Everyone must be involved. Summarizing your points there. And he says only voice in the wilderness. Keep crying. You cannot John the Baptist was lone in the wilderness. His
Yeah.
voice eventually counted. So let your voice count. Catherine says, awesome. Thank you for reminding us that we are not alone and that we should never give up. Bless you, sis. All right. Natalia says, amazingly, these were the very concerns I raised today in my Facebook page. That act of influence from us all. All right. So I think those are the only comments that I'm seeing from here. Guys, if you have any other comments, I have one more question that I wanted to provoke again. You mentioned values. Okay. Now, so what are the values that we should all begin to imbibe in order to have sustainable uh, growth, sustainable leadership, sustainable continent? What are some of the values we should be thinking about?
Yeah, I think it's integrity will be one of the key ones. Resilience, hard work, Compassion must be one of the values. Obviously, love is a key one. It's all about loving your neighbor and valuing others. Respect, mutual respect. Collaboration is important. Honesty is a great one as well. Faith is important, very, very important, because somewhere when you're losing it, faith is something that helps you to get up. Justice, make sure you're for that, so that, you know, the wicked will not continue to take over the space and leave every other. So it's the kindness, the compassion, the empathy. Those are the values that I think today are so important for us. Thinking beyond our, innovation is also a value that I think we all need to thrive on. Cultivating, well, I already talked about respect for one another, a mutual respect. I think that's also another value that we need to. But I think integrity, accountability for everything that we do, we can't avoid that. And responsibility. We have to prioritize also everything that we do. We need to get our priorities right. So your capacity to and I think we need to start learning also how to forgive, how to pardon each other, so that we can move away from, oh, that's what happened 20 years ago, that's what happened 40 years ago. Okay, it did. Where are we now? Let's move forward. That's key. You know, so absolutely. Some of those.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I love those values, and I believe that I see some people repeating them. Natalia said, we appreciate you, all the organizers, for this program. Integrity, being human. Attitude, somebody adds. Thank you for another insightful evening. We should emancipate fully from our mental imaginations and thinking. Alexander Biwang says, our leaders indeed here, because most of them schooled abroad and know all the good things of life. But for greed, they pretend not to hear or see. Hajia Alema says, sustainability thinking also means intergenerational leadership skills. Good. So great contributions from all of us. And I see Sarah joining us. So let me bring Sarah and see if she has any thoughts before we give you the floor to give us your final thoughts. Sarah, thank you all the way from Geneva. The two of
Hi,
you are in Geneva
Sarah.
together. I think so.
How are
Right?
you? Good
Geneva
to see you.
Great presentation. I missed most of it, so I am going to listen into the call. I had a commitment that I couldn't really finish with earlier. But I really love the questions and the comments that I've heard, especially those on the values, and that makes my heart sing. I will go again for the value of attitude. That is really the basis for us to start as to how we want to have the transformation that we all desire so much for our continent. And I just want to say great conversation and looking forward to listening in to learn from you, Tooks. As always.
Thanks a lot, Sarah.
As
Good
always,
to see you.
good to see you too.
Thank you so much. The two young girls.
This is all that I
two young
continue.
girls from Geneva. Thank you so much. God bless you, Sarah. We appreciate you. All right. Okay, talks. I don't see any more question. Somebody has put sacrifice, which is also another value.
Yeah.
So, guys, this is it. This is our continent. This is our world. This is our time. God brought us here for such a time like this, for each one of us to contribute our quota. We have to have the courage to voice out. Let our voice count. Go back and listen to last week's presentation, how successful leaders make their voice count. It was a powerful, powerful one that Conrad gave to us last week. So go back and listen to it and make your voice count. Now, Talks, give us your final words. And let's see. Madeline say, awesome presentation, ma'am. An opportunity to unlearn and learn indeed. All right, good.
Thank you. Well, my parting words would be, don't drop the ball. All of us have a responsibility. Sitting in our comfort zone isn't going to help, because those comfort zones are self-made prisons that we've locked ourselves in. And we can hear ourselves. We are yearning to escape. So I think it's best for us to pick up from where we were and begin not looking backwards because we want to go backwards, but looking backwards just to check on what was, so that we can move forward in where we need to go. Sustainability thinking is something that applies in every area of our lives. And if I could give a special plea concerning the environment, I'm really pleading with everyone on this call to start doing something today to save this planet. The least you can do is to put your plastics in a separate bin and look for someone to come and collect it so that they can be recycled. Don't throw them in the gutters. Please don't throw them in the ocean. Don't throw them where they can find their way into the oceans. I'm making that special plea because really, if somebody says they don't see the effects of climatic change right now, I think they're either not here or they don't understand what it's about. The floods we are seeing at this time of the year, I guess for those who understand a new geography, knows that that's not what we're supposed to be seeing. So it's actually no longer something that belonged to them, or it's something that is affecting them. It's affecting all of us. And it's not just about, it's not about the politics of it. It's more about our own health, our safety, and our security as a people, as a continent, as individuals and families. Other than that, please get in the game. We all have to be change makers if we want to see change. You can't sit at home, cross your hands, and hope that Sam is going to go and do that on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was actually hoping that you're going to share with us some of the, you're very interesting. I've seen some of your chairs that you've made out of, of beautiful, beautiful tables that you've made out of tiles. And it's just great, how you are recycling and do all those things. I was hoping you would share some of those with us. Maybe we'll bring you another time so that people can see that you're not talking about these things from a theoretical perspective. Guys, if you want to find more, go to Eco Village in Togo. If you want a holiday, go and see Talks Eco Village in Togo. Very serene, green environment with everything they're made out, a lot of things they're made out of, things we've thrown away, things that are clogging our gutters, and it's just so beautiful. So if you want to just pay your ticket to me, and then you can go to Togo. All right, but thank you so much.
I'll send some pictures to CTL, and they can show some of the things that we've been making. Both Eco Village and U-Trader, the ecological enterprises. We're working with young people, a lot of young people, a lot of women, and basically we're trying to transform what people call waste, which we consider as primary requirements for changing and creating new stuff. So this is what we are doing. And in Eco Village, we actually give you an environment that allows you to reconnect with nature and to reconnect with yourself, really. So yes, we look forward to seeing you. You're very welcome. But again, I'm asking you to join Nelson Boateng in Ghana, myself, and many others who are really working to try and make our contribution to saving the planet. We look forward to seeing you. And thank you very much, Sam, for this.
Thank you so much, my leader, and God bless you. And thank you, everyone who has made it to this call. Talk to you. Just hold on for a second. We will join you later on. But everybody who spent the time with us, we encourage you. Once again, I encourage you to register for the growth journey and learn a bit more of some of the things that will make you a better leader. And my team, Kofi, Abigail, Dinah, Mami, thank you, everybody. Sarah, thank you for your support from all the way from Geneva every Saturday with us. And for all of you, have a good night, and let's go to church tomorrow and thank God for our lives. God bless you, and see you next week. We have another wonderful topic that you don't want to miss, with a great leader speaking to us. Thank you, and share the links with everybody, your friends, invite your bosses and everybody to join. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
We spend a lot of time developing our professions, but we don't spend time developing ourselves. Look, as a leader, as a professional, you have to grow. You have to grow yourself. And to be able to grow yourself, you need to know yourself. A lot of us are not achieving the maximum we can achieve because we have not invested in our personal growth. So we are bringing you this special studies based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And we're going to just spend time with you and help you go through the principles that you need to be able to grow your person, to become a better person. Because if you become a better person, you become a better leader, you become a better father, you become a better professional. Do not miss this opportunity, as the masterclass is going to be very practical and discussional. It is going to be a limited number of people. So please register now to be part of the program.